Hi there, thanks for joining us. Coming up on tonight's BBC London. A community in shock. Prayer services are held in Luton for the family killed in their flat on Friday.
If they can light a candle, there's a facility there to light a candle, yes. So, you know, in that way, if we can help people through the grief and the trauma, then that's what the church is here for.
Also ahead this evening, why commuters are baffled at the longer wait for trains on the Docklands Light Railway. We investigate. Plus, we take you on a tour of the restored Crystal Palace subway ahead of its reopening to mark its 160th anniversary. And
probably going to be the toughest thing I've ever done.
We hear from former racing driver Billy Monger as he prepares for his toughest challenge yet. A very warm welcome to the programme. Prayer services have been held at churches in Luton following the death of a family at their flat last week. Floral tributes continue to be laid at the base of the tower block by a grieving community struggling to come to terms with what's happened. An 18-year-old has appeared in court charged with murdering his mother and his brother and sister. Helen Mulroy has been following the story.
Leaving court, a family in mourning, grieving the loss of a mother, a son and a daughter, yet also in shock, the defendant, one of their own. 18-year-old Nicholas Prosper appeared at Luton Magistrates Court this morning, charged with 3 counts of murder. Formal identification has not yet taken place, but Bedfordshire Police say the victims were 48-year-old Juliana Prosper, 16-year-old Kyle Prosper and 13-year-old Giselle Prosper, understood to be the defendant's mother and siblings.
Wearing a grey prison tracksuit, Nicholas Prosper spoke to confirm his name and date of birth. As he was led from the dock, a man in the public gallery, understood to be his father, shouted, "I still love you, son. It's not your fault, okay?" The man then broke down.
Outside the flats where this incident unfolded last Friday, tributes have grown. This morning, younger members of the community came to lay flowers. The local schools that 16-year-old Kyle and 13-year-old Giselle went to have paid tribute. In a statement, Cardinal Newman Catholic School acknowledged the devastating news to all those who knew and loved Kyle, while Lee Manor High School remembered Giselle as a beautiful soul and a model pupil. At a local church just moments from the scene, the warden told us of the sombre mood at yesterday's Mass as prayers were said for the victims.
Shock, disbelief, you know, sorrow, sadness, fear.
Holy Cross Church has been open today for anyone needing a moment of quiet contemplation.
Well, the church is always here for everybody, and if they feel the necessary to speak to a priest, we can find a priest they can speak to. If not, just come in and have quiet prayer, or we'll talk to them. If they can light a candle, there's a facility there to light a candle, yes. So, you know, in that way, if we can help people through the grief and the trauma, then that's what the church is here for.
A memorial mass will be held here tomorrow at 11 a.m. Nicholas Prosper will appear at Luton Crown Court on Wednesday.
Helen Mulroy, BBC London.
We've plenty more for you ahead this Monday evening, including
Tracy Emin has a new solo exhibition at the White Cube Gallery in Bermondsey. We'll be talking to the artist about how a life-threatening illness is influencing her latest work.
Commuters who use the Docklands Light Railway say they're frustrated at the increasing wait between trains. Transport for London says it's had to introduce speed restrictions to slow the trains on some sections of the track. Let's find out more from our transport correspondent Tom Edwards, who joins me. OK, so Tom, why have they done this?
Well, engineers were carrying out a review of the signalling system, and what they found out was that on some sections of track, the trains were actually going too fast. Now, TfL are at pains to point out they weren't going above the speed limit, but there wasn't enough of a safety margin between the speed of the trains and the maximum recommended speed. So, as you say, they have introduced these speed limits on some sections of track, which has increased the gap between services. They've also got rid of the direct Stratford to Lewisham service. Now, don't forget, DLR is an automated system, so there are no drivers, there's only train captains on board. It's run by computers, but all of this have left passengers who contacted us not very happy at all that their service has in effect got worse.
So for those passengers who, as you say, contacted us and are baffled by this, is there any indication that the service might return to normal?
No, there isn't.
As they know it?
Transport for London have apologised to the passengers for what's happened to the service. They've given us a statement tonight. They say, for the continued safe operation of the network, we decided to reduce the speed at these locations. Crucially, the DLR continues to be one of the safest light railway networks in the country, but no decision, they say, TfL, has been made on whether these changes are going to be permanent. But if they are made permanent, it will in effect be a cut to DLR services, and that won't go down well for commuters.
OK, Tom, for now, thank you. That's our transport correspondent, Tom Edwards. And as he mentioned there, thank you for getting in touch on that story. And if there is something that you want to get in touch with to let us know or investigate, you can email hello@bbclondon@bbc.co.uk. Let's turn now to a roundup of some of the day's other news stories. A court at the Old Bailey has heard that 4 young boys died in a fire surrounded by rubbish and human waste after their mother left them home alone for a supermarket trip. 29-year-old Devika Rose denies manslaughter of her 2 sets of twins and child cruelty. The trial continues. Bereaved parents have shared their grief at the inquiry into the deaths of more than 2,000 mental health patients who were receiving inpatient care in Essex between 2000 and 2003. The chair, Baroness Lampard, was moved to tears by the accounts, which she said highlighted the seriousness and tragedy of the situation. And a woman's been charged with the murder of another woman in East London. Hope Rowe, who's 32, is accused of stabbing another woman in the foyer of a Stepney Green block of flats in the early hours of yesterday morning. The victim has not been formally identified, but police say they are confident she is 31-year-old Charlotte Lawler. Next, as London councils grapple with skyrocketing costs for elderly care, the Lib Dems are challenging the new Labour government to spend more on social care and reform it. They've made it one of their key issues at their party conference in Brighton. And who better to fill us in than our own political editor, Tim Donovan, who is also there. Hi, Tim. So here we are at the start of the autumn party conferences.
Yeah, and they're putting this front and centre, as you say, which will be made clear by the leader in his speech tomorrow, and which was reinforced by the deputy leader, Daisy Cooper, this afternoon. At one level, it's about enhancing the whole status of care through increasing allowances and pay for carers and so on. And then there's a commitment to find a long-term funding solution via a royal commission to look at things. And in the short term, what needs to happen, the Liberal Democrats say, is to tackle a situation such as we have in London, where the 33 local authorities are heading for an overspend of about £700 million this year. Their budget busted, if you like, and half of that is for social care.
And Tim,
we need a multi-year settlement. We need a proper budgeted amount so that we can look after people who are most in need, and that needs to happen now. We cannot wait for a commission or something which is going to take a year to report. In my view, the Chancellor in the budget needs to address council funding as a priority, because we're at risk of seeing councils going bankrupt, and that will hurt people most.
And Tim, can I ask, how is the mood and atmosphere there after their election results?
Oh, it's kind of bright and buoyant, as you might imagine, when with 72 seats, they now have the highest number for a third party in more than a century. But there's a note of caution, because if you look at somewhere like London, yeah, they raise the number of MPs from 3 to 6, but it's very much a cluster limited to suburban southwest London. And in a review of the general election, we heard from activists here that there are worries that they have not got enough appeal in urban areas, particularly large urban areas, and the feeling is the way back is to try and get more of a presence in town halls in, say, inner London.
I will be campaigning with London colleagues across the capital when it comes to local elections in a couple of years' time to make sure that we're building up our council representation, which ultimately then helps us to win more parliamentary seats.
On that note, it wasn't long ago, Riz, that the Liberal Democrats controlled Islington Council, and not too distant past, they were in charge in Tower Hamlets. Yet we had a couple of, fairly minor by-elections in terms of, or council by-elections in London recently, and it was the Greens that won a seat off Labour in Hackney, and it was the Greens that came second to Labour in Tower Hamlets, and that is a worry to Liberal Democrats who see this potential advance in an urban area by the Greens when they want it to be them.
OK, Tim from Brighton, thank you. Still to come before 7, he's used to a challenge, but...
Probably going to be the toughest thing I've ever done.
We chat to Surrey's Billy Monger ahead of his Ironman challenge for comic relief. Before that, though, to the artist Tracey Emin, who created the infamous messy bed and other eye-catching works of art. But a lot has changed since we last spoke to her on the programme in 2019, including being made a dame earlier this year and surviving cancer. Some of these transformative experiences are explored in her new exhibition, and Wendy Hurrell has been to South East London to chat to her once again.
At White Cube in Bermondsey, I Followed You to the End is the name of Dame Tracey Emin's new show. The title of one of the largest bronze sculptures she's ever shown inside a gallery. And the name of one of the many visceral paintings she's been prolifically creating in the last few years. The works, once again autobiographical in subject, her cats creep onto the canvas, sometimes literally.
Teacup, she's the girl, she just curls up on a chair and sleeps a lot, sort of walks around a bit and sort of like, But then Pancake, he watches every painting, every move, he watches every brushstroke like this, he goes behind the paintings, he follows the drips going up and down. Quite a few of my paintings that have got paw marks on them. And then someone once who brought back said, oh, like it's got this paw mark on it. And I went, well, that shows it's authentic. Tell them it's totally authentic. And they're very lucky to have that paw mark, yeah.
Along with painting, Emin has seen a cohort of students through her art school, which has been mutually beneficial.
I love it. It's like if I go in and say to someone, what are you doing with this painting? You spent 6 weeks on it, look at it. And they go, well, what should I do now? And I went, you have to paint over it. Paint over it. And they go, I don't want to put a paint over it. I promise you, it will make you free. And they go, but then what do I do? I said, you can then paint over it again. The painting that you have an attachment to is still there, except you're free from it. And then I walk into my studio and I look at a painting that's been hanging around and I think, okay, you've got to paint over it.
Following radical life-saving surgery to remove aggressive bladder cancer, Emin has spoken honestly about having a stoma and urostomy bag.
I can't go to sleep unless I have I've got my night bag. It's a night bag. It's a little bag and it's full of urine now.
She's had periods of ill health, but she's compelled to paint even then, either on a smaller scale or in more intricate detail.
Normally I'm like massive, bold strokes, and you have to be quite fit to paint like that. It's really pushing paint around, but I don't use really thick paint. I use quite thin paint and lots of layers. So my brush is loaded with paint, but it isn't thick wads of paint. It's very thin and very beautiful and flows. Anybody that's been through cancer on that level will tell you, your life there is great limitations afterwards. But the good thing is, I'm so happy to be alive. So sort of go, it doesn't matter that I'm ill in bed today because I'm here. Yeah.
There is a joy in that.
Of course there is. And every day, it's like I said, you know, wow, I'm so pleased I didn't die 4 years ago because look at what I've done since. Who'd have thought that?
Wendy Hurrell, BBC London.
Good to hear from Tracy Emin again. That was Wendy Hurrell there. Well, from art to the cinema, or more specifically, a cafe within one in Ealing that is trying to support more adults with learning disabilities into employment. Cafe Mahaba has helped 22 young people learn about working in a coffee shop. To find out more, we've been hearing from the founder, Muriel, and one of the trainees, Ibrahim.
Hi, my name is Ibrahim and I work here in Mahaba Cafe.
Mahaba Cafe is an inclusive coffee shop in Ealing where we offer training opportunities for young people with special educational needs and disabilities. So remember how to do a latte?
Yeah.
I'm Muriel, I'm the founder of Mahaba Cafe. Our training program, we call it Unlocking Employment Training Program, is really like stepping stone. So we just go to different stations in the coffee shop and we work at the till, we work at the coffee machine. But it's also a lot about employability skills, so timekeeping, and interpersonal skills, so really being used to talk to other people, to have those chats, you know, in the morning with colleagues, teamwork.
They are very friendly, very helpful when I'm stuck, and I ask a lot of questions as well. And they were always there with me for a good time and for the bad times.
We have had 22 people with special educational needs and disability at the coffee shop, and in total so far we trained young people for 1,340 hours.
I would definitely recommend it. Even though you're not interested in coffees, I would say you should still do it just to build out your confidence, and it's also great customer skills as well.
So we have a lot of very positive reactions from customers. Everybody comes in from London where everything is going so fast and everybody needs things so fast, and then they come here and then they see that the person is in training and needs a bit more time and then they just slow down, and then I think they enjoy just being there.
So I like working with them, asking them how their day is going and stuff like that. It's just a human nature stuff.
When I just see how much the young people grow in confidence and how you know, how they change, like and it comes quite quickly, how they just feel like they belong and they're happy, is the best feeling. It really is.
Our thanks to Muriel and Ibrahim talking about the work they do at Cafe Mahaba. Let's head south now and to the Crystal Palace subway, which first opened in 1865 and is currently being restored to its former Victorian glory. It's on track to open next year in time for its 160th anniversary. Well, ahead of that, we've been given a glimpse behind the scenes as the finishing touches are added. Our reporter Nikki Ford has been taking a look.
Hard to believe this derelict subway was once the gateway to the great Crystal Palace. That was destroyed by fire in 1936, but the subway remained, and now it's been restored to its former glory.
So what you've got to imagine is we've just come in from the train here and we're walking through, first-class passengers of course, we're walking through this sort of splendid kind of Moroccan hall effect, and suddenly the lobby opens up into this fantastic sort of entrance hall or lobby. Above you is going to be the Crystal Palace where you're going. You're going to come up these great big steps and in, and all awaits.
Now the palace is long gone, but the restoration of the subway teaches us about Victorian design.
So most of this subway would have been as it was in 1865. You can see the original brickwork. The floor is the same. And if you look up at the ceiling, you can see the original gaslight holders where the gaslights would have been. But this is where the bulk of the restoration happened, in this hall here. And you can see there's brand new flooring, the brickwork, and this rather spectacular glass roof.
A lot of research of the floor is based on what people understood the floor to be like. The brickwork had to be replaced in like-for-like bricks where it was. Sourcing these bricks nowadays is difficult enough. So it's it's so different from building a new building, trying to restore an old one, especially one as complicated as this.
It's a £3.5 million project funded by grants, but it's the community that have driven the idea, and it's been 14 years in the making.
You can talk to people in the park and they will say something like, my mother was there when the Crystal Palace burned in 1936. Crystal Palace and what it stood for, the glory of that Victorian age, is part of our heritage. And it means so much to this community to be part of the regeneration of this park.
It's the first phase of Bromley Council's plans to regenerate the park. Restoration of the Italian terraces and its dinosaurs are next.
Crystal Palace is a really important 200-acre green space in London. It's where 5 boroughs meet, and therefore there are huge numbers of London communities that use this park, and it's really important to their well-being.
The Victorian past there paving the way for the designs of the future. Nikki Ford, BBC London.
A sneak peek around Crystal Palace subway. Now to this guy, former racing driver Billy Monger from Surrey, who is no stranger to taking on a challenge. And the 25-year-old's latest is regarded as one of the toughest endurance events in the world. He's taking part in the Ironman Championships in Hawaii, while also raising money for comic relief. He's been speaking to Juliet Parkin.
Taking the plunge, headfirst into a real test of how the months of gruelling training have gone. Billy Monger was on the Dorset coast yesterday, completing a 1.2-mile sea swim, 56-mile cycle, followed by a 13.1-mile run.
Come on, Billy.
And that's half the distance he'll have to cover in the Hawaiian heat.
There's been multiple WMTs that have attempted this challenge and they haven't been able to finish because of the scale of the challenge. So there's definitely not one part of me that's underestimating how hard it is going to be just to finish in under 17 hours, let alone try and break that record of 16 hours 26.
Probably going to be the toughest thing I've ever done.
He's had to learn to swim in open water, how to adapt to cycling with prosthetics, and how to run long distances with blades. The Ironman in Hawaii is widely regarded as the toughest one-day endurance event in the world.
I've been training since October of last year, doing about between 10 to 20 hours of training a week. So yeah, you could say I'm feeling ready for it, but equally nothing can prepare me for what I'm going to face out in Hawaii.
As hard as this challenge is, this is another level again. The amount of equipment, I mean, coming into transition, we've got suitcases of gear, where everyone else is just sort of rocking up with a single bag. A lot of organisation and a lot of self-discipline.
Billy had both legs amputated after a near-fatal crash in 2017. Since then, he's worked as a broadcaster and raised £3 million for comic relief by walking, cycling and kayaking 140 miles in 2021. His Ironman will also raise funds for the charity.
I know where that money's going and how important it is.
He's hoping to cross the finish line in Hawaii next month in a record-breaking time, with another hug for his mum, though he might be a bit more sweaty this time.
Juliet Parkin talking to Billy Monger. What an incredible human, and of course, best of luck to him. Right now, let's get a check on the weather with Kate, who has joined us, and a lovely, bright, sunny start to the week. And Kew Gardens, I think, behind you.
Yes, it is. A lovely day to visit. We had pure blue sky and sunshine for much of the day. It was really warm as well, unusually so for this point in September. We got temperatures just shy of 21 Celsius at Teddington earlier on. Now, our weather watchers pictures, of course, everyone likes to take pictures of the sunshine. This was earlier down in Richmond. Perfect conditions for hiring that boat, but a little more cloud this afternoon. Not a huge amount. Didn't get in the way of the sunshine or of the temperature, but we did see that cloud bubble up. Now, that cloud is largely dispersing as we head through this evening and overnight. And on the whole, we're looking at clear skies tonight. Now, there is a G3 geomagnetic storm forecast for tonight, and we've got near enough perfect conditions in some respects to see the northern lights, but there's a big but. Now, there is a good chance you'll see that, however,
there is a big bright moon. It's not quite full. The full moon, the super harvest moon, is tomorrow night. Something else to watch in the skies. Tonight, though, it is quite big and therefore projecting quite a lot of light, and that could cancel out the chance of us seeing the northern lights. But it is worth a look before midnight, Largy. Now, looking at earlier, the satellite picture, not much cloud around at all. We've had a northeasterly breeze, not especially strong inland, but you've noticed it along the Essex coast, down the Thames estuaries. And as we head into the evening, like I said, that cloud is disappearing. Largely clear skies tonight, but a little bit of cloud drifting on that northeasterly breeze, which is slowly starting to get a little stronger. But that's going to prevent any mist and fog from forming. The wind's too strong. Temperatures, though, under the clear skies, pretty chilly, 7 to 9 Celsius. So bright start tomorrow. This is the high pressure, which is bringing all the settled conditions. Slowly but surely tomorrow, it just starts to drift a little bit further north and east. Means the wind is going to be stronger through Tuesday. Northeasterly again, a little bit of cloud, but should be dry with some sunshine, and temperatures again tomorrow are going to feel warm. We're looking at a maximum very similar to today, despite the wind, 21 Celsius. Now, as we head overnight Tuesday into Wednesday, that high pressure continues to drift, and it's going to drag in a stronger breeze. Also a bit more cloud, you'll notice, as we head in towards Wednesday morning. Minimum temperature, though, mild. That wind is coming from a warm place, 10 to 13 Celsius, the minimum, so really mild night. And that high pressure continues to budge. That stronger wind as we head into Wednesday itself. It does still bring some warm temperatures as we head towards the end of Wednesday. We're looking at potentially getting up to 24 Celsius.
That brings a smile to many of us. Kate, thank you. A reminder of the day's main headlines now. Hugh Edwards, who was once one of the highest paid presenters at the BBC, has avoided jail after admitting accessing indecent images of children as young as 7. He was given a 6-month suspended sentence for 2 years. The BBC said the corporation was appalled by his crimes and has betrayed the audiences who put their trust in him. A man arrested after a suspected attempt to kill Donald Trump has appeared in court in Florida on gun charges. The former US president was unharmed after a man with a rifle was spotted by Secret Service agents on Mr. Trump's golf course. And Tito Jackson, the original member of the Jackson 5 and brother of Michael and Janet, has died at the age of 70. He played guitar and provided backing vocals on hits including I Want You Back and ABC. That is where I leave you. Back with you, though, of course, the same time tomorrow. There is plenty more on our social media, whether that's Facebook, Insta or X, and on our website. From the South London Park launching free-to-use electric hot plates for the public to the new mudlarking exhibition showcasing London's lost treasures. The capital is nothing if not varied. From all the team, thanks for watching and enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.